A redbud called silver cloud, and it comes out. This is what's fascinating about the genetics, and you're a gene jockey, but you come out in the spring and it's totally green, and whatever triggers the response, the later leaves that emerge turn this pinkish white green variegation. And don't ask me how it does it. But I just love redbud. My wife, obviously I love redbuds. I got 10 of them in the garden. And then I got seedlings coming up. I should get a shovel to dig you some plants, probably. You want to vary?
I should. And it's not just for me, but for
I should.
I've just moved, and I've got more damn pots than I.
Whatever you want to get them together, that's your job.
Go for it. Go for it.
Well, you scream at them. They emerge green, and then they'll change to this pinkish white-green stippled variegated character. It's a magnificent plant in the spring. And I mean, everybody, it almost looks like it's in flower. And I try to use a lot of trees that aren't just green in leaf, but also add color through foliage or fall color or whatever, bark. So we got everybody, hey, my voice has gotten down there. If you want to walk, we'll take a quick loop, and then if you got questions, you can break off, as my students used to do. We started with 20, we all had 20 in lab, the grad students had 20, and we take them around campus, teach them plants. You start off with 20, and then you got 18, then you got 15, then you got 2, and it's dinner time, and they're all gone, and you're still talking to yourself. So let's take a loop. If you got questions, feel free to ask.
What is this?
Oh, that's a euphorbia. It's called Ascot rainbow. And I was asking, what's really remarkable about this is that the variegation even occurs in the sepals. You see the little bracts here; they're variegated. The leaves are variegated, and I've had numerous versions of this. And usually they'll die after a period of time, but they'll overwinter and they'll hold their foliage. So this is called Euphorbia Ascot rainbow, and they've sold millions of this damn thing around the world. Came out of England, by the way, Ascot rainbow. Look at these little rascals, Blake. I love these things. I should have got a shovel, and I can do this while I go. You know, Watkinsville Garden Club is a real garden club. They just didn't get the snacks and head for the hills. Good to see. I mentioned we had, when I opened opening stage, we have an acre here, and then we bought lots going down the road, so we got up to 3.5 acres, and I pretty much planted this thing quick. But what's happened, you're seeing a kind of an amazing thing. These are variegated redbud seedlings, which seldom happens. Usually any kind of variegated plant will produce offspring, but they're not the same color, foliage color, whatever. Well, this particular redbud, which is right behind me, is called Floating Clouds, and Floating Clouds produces all these little variants. I just left these here, and I'll be glad to dig. Somebody wanted, John wanted one, or somebody wanted a couple. I'll get a shovel out here and dig you some. But look at the variation in these. Some of these are almost all white and green. Others are a little less. Some have very little in them. And this is a cornucopia of variegated redbuds. That's a good phrase. So you're welcome. And then the Baptisia, you know what? We've done a lot of breeding with Baptisia. Nobody interested. I've been working on these since we moved in here 2010 when I started sowing seed all over. But this is a yellow foliage one. We now have yellow foliage with violet, purple, actually indigo colored flowers. So we got blue on yellow, which is one of Vita Sackville West's favorite combination, I think. Anyway, I just stuck this in there. This is a big pot. And I think these are going to go. I mentioned the deal with yellow foliage privet. Anybody that's crazy enough to buy a yellow foliage privet will be even more than crazy to buy yellow foliage Baptisia. Where you're, if you're doing on the, I used to tell students, turn around 180. You know what turn around 180 is? Very good. And you're standing on lawn that wasn't here about a month ago. This bed, let me go out here in the centerfold. I don't know if you can hear me very well. If you can't, that's okay. You can see.
I'm taking
this was a solid bed like that, connected, and that was end point, focal point. That's a little cut leaf Japanese maple of this big whirly bed. And I got tired of looking at it. There were two big trees, and there was a red maple here, and there was an elm right here. So we bulldozed it, got it out here, cleaned it up, put sod down, and it's got a nice open feel to it. We left a little corner of the back spot here. And sometimes, you got to kind of redo things. It's like whatever it is, you buy a new suit, you buy a new pair of brown shorts or green shorts. Well, in this case, we got new lawn. And I'm thinking, Bonnie said, don't mess it up. And sometimes less is more. I think you're better off not overdoing it. And I tend to overplant, as you will see when I loop you around the corner here. Here's your quiz plan. I'll tell you what. I said, what have I got I can give you free? I don't think I got anything really good except some books. You guys don't want to read books. Anyway, anyone know what this is? This is the quiz plant of the day for the Watkinsville Garden Club. It's an Alstroemeria Citacina. I think it's South American. The flowers are red, and they come up at differential time. The foliage will eventually die down, but it's variegated. I had one little plant about 10 years ago. Now I got to see. And if anybody would like any, shovel, 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 shovel. And you got to stay with me on this. This was overstoried. This was covered by shade before we knocked these trees out. So it does well in shade, and it's hanging on after a month in sun too. So if anybody wants a shovelful, let me know. You got bags, and we'll take care of it. There was so much shade. In fact, the lilac got shaded out. I haven't cleaned it up. That is one of the top grafted lilacs. That's Palabin, and it's grafted on a standard, and very, very pretty, kind of a lavender purple flower. And again, the holly in here is one. It's a Ilex latifolia. The magnolia is Alexandrina, which is a Silegiana. I got some Distilleum, boxwoods, and one of the prettiest trees. Come on around the shade. I just love this tree. This is a Japanese snowbell, and yeah, it's called Evening Light. Came out of Germany, came into the States, and New Jersey, ended up on the West Coast, and they started to produce it. And obviously, I got a few, and I got more than a few. But I just love the tree. I love the color of the flowers. They hang down. It's one of those trees you kind of want to look up into, and small enough. Obviously got it too close again, and I don't know what am I going to do. I hate to think about cutting it down or anything, but the purple foliage will hold all season long. So you got, once the flowers finally abscise and disappear, you still got good looking foliage throughout the season. In the fall, color's yellow, not great, not consistent. And the other thing, I love, my wife loves particularly hummingbirds. So we plant salvia left and right. And this is Amistad, and this is black and blue behind me. And there's a little bit of difference if you take a look. What do you notice about the difference in foliage color? Darker. Yeah, darker and shinier, not much. John, what are you doing? Take the sunglasses. You're looking through those damn rose-colored glasses. You can't see the world. Anyway, it dies completely back to the ground. I cut it back. Comes back. I'll cut it back a couple times during the season. Flowers on new growth, and probably the easiest plant to root in the world. Put it in your garden. You got. Oh, sorry. Anybody wants cutties? I'll give you cutties. Put it in a glass of water. It'll root.
Okay. Which family is this?
It's in the Styraceae family, the same family as silverbell, as
That's what I
Alicia.
was going to ask you if it was related to our silverbell.
You're a genius.
Carolina.
By Carolina silverbell, yeah. Yeah, by association, yeah. Well, Styrax is Alicia. Actually, Alicia is much harder to grow. I've had Alicia, and I've had Alicia, and I've had Alicia, and I still don't have Alicia that's alive. They want to die back, and it's native along creekbacks along here. One thing we tried to do when we plant, you guys may not see it the way I see it, but we put everything in borders pretty much, so it's kind of a maintenance thing. And the whole thing, looking at Lisa over there, I believe in leaves are the greatest source of fertilizer and organic matter of anything in the world. So we just rake them over and we don't even grind them on. Let them decompose. And if you read Talami's book, or that Overstory book probably too, what do they tell you? Don't do it. And oak leaves are slow to break down, so they feed insects, all the little underground insect, arthropods, and all that kind of stuff. Year round. I guess I'm over pushing oaks, but you can't overstate it, and you'll see more when we walk around. One of the great natives is
Beech.
American beech. I got a bunch of little beech over here, but I actually paid money for a 2.5 incher there when I moved in, and it's one of the latest to leaf. It just leafed out in early May. But anyway, American beech is another one of those trees that feeds a lot of birds and animals, etc. And I love the spring green foliage. The fall color is bronzy, as you know, kind of golden bronze. The leaves hold all, and the leaves just fell off. The leaves get pushed off when the new growth comes out in the spring, and you end up with mulch. You got mulch, and again, you notice we just keep raking it up, raking it up, raking it up. How many people put stuff in bags and cart it to the dump and shoot themselves in the foot, sometimes in the belly?
I put them in bags and let them decay.
Well, that's okay too. Whatever you do is.
I love these.
I do too.
Oh, aren't they pretty? Do you have any you want to give away?
You know what? We could figure. You gotta. Don't ask too many questions now. I could probably find some. We got a whole field of dreams. I think you're coming tomorrow. I'm sure we planted hundreds of these last year out of those little cells that we got. and almost every one of them is flowered. And people tell it takes 3 to 4 years. We can give them to flower in 2 years. So seedling 1 year, transplant them, boom, they're up. These are some of my, I just love these plants. This is Baptisia australis, hybrids obviously. This is one called Twilight Prairie Blues, which came out of Chicago, actually Chicago Botanic Garden. And there are 3 plants. I usually like to plant in 3, sometimes I don't, but there's 3 plants in here. And we've used this for breeding, and what happens, the bees love these, by the way. The bees and the butterflies, you can probably watch it, there's a bee over there right now. You know what, this seems like a crazy story, but I've never been stung by a bee. And you know why? The bees love me because I provide them food and shelter. You think about that story, and it's a fib, but it sounds good. And then there's lemon meringue in that batch. The big bright yellow ones are all seedlings. Carolina Moonlight is down here. The ladies will look at the Carolina Moonlight, which is a real bright yellow. And these, by the way, we will, when we find one we like, we will take cuttings, and I would cut that back a little bit. We dip it in a little root promoting solution. It'd go under mist. And they root in about, usually about 4 weeks. Takes a little longer than some things. And we're off. I'll show you one rooted last year down, when we go down, I gave you one yesterday, one of the purple ones downstairs. So it's an easy process. In the pot, how many know what the fruit looks like? What does it look like?
Pod.
Yeah, how big?
About this big.
You got it.
About that wide.
Inflate it.
Yeah.
Great bird food in the seeds too, also when they go. And you'll see if you look around here, I don't see any here, but I saw a ton of them when I was weeding the other day, a bunch of seedlings coming up. And easy to grow when we collect the seed. Collect the pods in June. You've heard me at the garden club. Crush them, clean them, float them, and you put them in water. You let them soak for 24 hours. The floaters you throw away. The sinkers you sow. They come up within 10 days to 14 to 21 days. And you're off and running. It's actually one of the cheapest plants, I think, for a hobby gardener to grow, and one of the easiest. And let's just kind of slide down.
Now what is this?
This is I'll wait till we get the group down because my voice isn't quite loud enough, I don't think. Yeah, you're highly observant. You're a gardener. You're a great gardener.
No, I have pots. I don't have a garden. I just have pots here.
We were breeding lilacs for the south, and we never got there. But this shows you how stupid we are. This was our Syringa 0111. This was actually selected back in 2011, and we put it in tissue culture. We had hundreds. We never made it to the market. It's a lavender pink. It's fragrant. It's a microphylla. It doesn't mean much when I throw out these terms, but it's a microphylla type, and it survived all those years. And it's beautiful when it's in flower. It's already flowered, obviously, but if we could find a lilac for the south that was actually fragrant and persistent, obviously it's a great commercial. Something I don't want to sound like I'm talking dollars and cents. I don't care if I make another nickel, but I love the process of doing it. And Frank's been out. It's actually the joy of, if you're a breeder, you live in the future. You're always thinking about what could be. And then what could be materializes, and you go, very disappointing. No. And you're like, wow. But you get the wows, and I think Frank's been enough to see a bunch of the wows. This is Aphrodite, which is a sweet shrub. It's not a fragrant one, but it's a cross between our native and the Chinese. And they're amazing in flower. I mean, you take a look at the flower size on these. We've had garden tours before. People thought they were magnolias. They almost look like magnolias. And the redbud behind you, there's a lot of breeding going on with redbuds, as mentioned. This is one called Black Pearl. It came out of Tennessee, but it's like forest pansy, although maybe it holds its color a little better, not too much better. Keep you on the move. This is pretty amazing. This would have been put in about 2010, and this is Carolina Moonlight. And you look at the size of the clump in here. And the best thing about these is their stems are strong enough, for the most part, that they're not laying on the ground, which is a real problem with a lot of herbaceous perennials. You're constantly putting cages around them or tying them up or staking them, and these just go. You know what? I think we should. I wish I had some of those to give you. The Calycanthus has drawn rave reviews from your audience here. Isn't that pretty?
That is gorgeous.
I love this thing. I do too. It's the only one on the planet Earth.
Oh.
I give you one?
No. One of these?
Yeah, I know Frank's got it. Frank came out and helped us a lot with potting and all kinds of stuff in there. I was going to cut a branch off here just to show them without breaking a branch off. They're more enamored with Baptisia, which is okay. This is a magnolia called Riveting Rosie, and it's a hybrid. It's the only one on the planet Earth outside of some we propagated. I was given a seedling. Who knew what it was? It shows up, it ends up being a hybrid between Magnolia insignis and Magnolia Sieboldii colossus. That doesn't mean a damn thing to you. But you know, one is a white flowered plant, the other was a pink flowered plant. One is evergreen, one is deciduous. This is semi-evergreen. You can see the flower buds on this. There's tons of flower buds. I was going to get one just to show you close up. I didn't want to beat them all to hell here, but here, let me pull it down. I'll break it off. I don't necessarily like doing it this way, but I will. This is look at this is the most beautiful flower. Yeah.
It is the most gorgeous.
And Cindy, you smell anything? There's a little bit. I don't know. You smell it
Almost looks like a strawberry in there.
does. Those are the stamens you're looking
Yeah,
at.
I know,
Okay.
but
Yeah, it's got those pink,
all
and
close
then there's the gynoecium, the female part. Can you get it?
Strawberry or red.
I gotta tell anybody.
You know, I think this would you guys buy this for yeah?
So
yeah,
this is
yeah.
not available in the nursery. This is not available in
I'll
the.
give you one. I'm down to 4. I couldn't give the damn things away for what? Where's Frank at?
I cannot believe.
I couldn't even hardly give you one. I think I'll give you 2.
Wow. I'll trade you some
Why-
socks for them.
That sounds like a deal.
Wow.
But what's nifty? What's nifty about a couple things? Number one, it flowers obviously later than the typical magnolia.
Yes.
Grandiflora will be coming, and Virginiana are coming in now. But the early types, what happens every year? Freeze, frost. Almost every year we get some degree of damage. So these are later. The other thing that's really handsome about this is the foliage is this dark sheety green and kind of a foil against the flower. And I've not have any. Let me think out loud here. I've not had any fruits said, but boy, I'd love to germinate some seeds out of that. This was just,
Time for Mother's Day.
you know.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Bonnie, listen to this. We could sell 50 of these if we had. We give them away. I mean, we don't sell.
Get with it.
We don't sell anything here. We give it away all things. That's your fruit. So anyway, that's it. It's called Riveting Rosie. Hillary Thompson, who had a nursery, a mail order nursery, and her husband Mike. Some of you might know them. What was the name of their nursery? They had a mail order nursery, sometimes unusual plants. Anyway, they had a naming contest, and they were going to give a free plant away to whoever came up with a winning name, and somebody submitted Riveting Rosie, so it became Riveting Rosie. So that's what you're looking at. By the way, it's easy to root from cuttings, and it's not too big. The big thing, it doesn't get out of hand. There's a number of flower buds up there. I mean, there's 5, 10 flower buds on the line you shoot. Okay, down into the hollow here. I'm probably wearing you out on Baptiste. No, I mean on Baptiste or whatever I'm wearing you out on anyway. It could be. My students used to leave me. I told you a lot, so I didn't expect anything. Anyway, this was a rooted cutting, like a little one I took up there last year, and it was put in a pot. We propagated them, so we'll propagate them this year, the ones we select, put them in a pot. This is called a trade gallon, and that's a 1-year plant, so that's pretty neat when you end up with, when you,
What kind of soil do you use?
we use a pine bark. It's a 60 coarse, 40% fine pine bark. We usually incorporate lime to get the pH. Pine bark's about 4 or 5, so we try to get the pH up a little bit, and about 6. Oh, we buy it from several sources. Let me think. Sungrow is one. We buy tractor trailer loads.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're not going to find it on the market. You just got to kind of live and take care of that. That's we call that one violet. Plus, I've got a whole tray of hydrangeas that I was going to give you, and I didn't. But if you want them, you can have them. Let me see what I might have to say. Blowing rock. Ooh, blowing rock's a big biped, beautiful red blue. That's Curinae, which is I need to save that one. And then there's a plant that many of you have never heard of in here called Dicroa, which has, anybody know Dicroa? I'll tell you, I just throw these out here, and if you want them, grab one now. And I'll tell you what, Dicroa has blue bulbous flowers, and it has a metallic blue fruit on it. It's a member of the hydrangea family. Which one is that you're getting? Well, they're grabbing one. They're going. There's rock and roll. There's Tiny Tough stuff. Oh, Frank, you guys remember Froggy? Hey, pay attention. What do you think this is, class? You guys, I don't know if you ever heard of Froggy. This is another story. Froggy is a green-pink inflorescence type macrophylla, and it was found in England in the 40s, lost, went to Australia or New Zealand. I think it's Australia. One of the guys from New England I deal with brought it back from Australia and New Zealand to Cape Cod. I got a plant. We stabilized it. We patented it, and we called it Froggy, F-R-O-G-G-I-E, because it's got a frog. You've seen them in full flower. You got Froggy, right? Your job is to give these out. This is really neat. It has beautiful orange-red fall color. A mop head. It's a green, pink. Help me out, Frank. What else is it? It's got a bunch of colors in it. And let me do it. Go ahead.
When we first started talking about it, it was green mantle. If anybody remembers that, we had some for sale.
Are they shade loving or are they?
Well, that takes some shade.
Yeah, no, this has got to be a partial. Well, you don't have to. A partial shade, it definitely helps.
How large does it grow?
It's a small one. It stays more common. You share. These are all froggies coming out the door here. That's it, Frank. There you go. 3 feet. Oh, we got to get out of here before we have chaos. This is just you want one of those? Anyway, hey, pay attention, group. Anybody want another polygonatum? Another one of the small Solomon seal, the variegated Solomon seal? The little ones? I'm not going to give you my big ones. I need those. But okay, we don't need them. Let's go.
So I kept one Franklin Ultima alive. It needs to be moved for.
You actually kept it. That's your usual.
I have a Franklin. That's still alive. Well, they can just watch the
This is
They can watch the video.
this is my frustration with hydrangeas is at times unbelievable. This bed behind you was our first one in 2012. We moved it here in 2009. Didn't really do any gardening until we moved in the fall until 2010. And I had all hydrangeas in here, and you know what happened? Every year we get a freeze. Every year we get a freeze, and I said, to hell with it. So then I dug it up and I started putting in, as you can see, there's hellebores. I can't get over polygonatum. I mean, this is one little clump like you guys got. Choo, 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 choo. It'll go, go, go. But there's macrophyllus arborescens in here. There's osmanthus. There's Kyananthus fringe trees. There's azaleas. There's Acer griseum. There's hellebores. Anybody need any hellebore seedlings? I got hellebore seedlings left and right. Then I started another hydrangea garden way out in the back 40, which some of you might see. I don't know how ambitious you feel. And then this is the newest one last year. This is a new hydrangea garden, and it's looking pretty good. I thought the freeze was pretty much got me, but this is that's a brand new plant out of Japan. It's called Frank. I thought you might have got one of these. It's Runaway Bride Snow White is the name of this, and it's a hybrid between one called Macrophylla, which you know is a big leaf hydrangea, and Scandens. And it really has been pretty interesting. It's kind of a little petite plant. I've had it for about 3 years now, and there was some cold damage, but it's flying. Flowers up and down the stem. It flowers at every node. Yeah, I'm sure you got. Yeah. You know, I mentioned Frank. Look, your wife's saying, yeah. Well, Runaway. I might give it to you as a hybrid, but it's Runaway Bride Snow White is the name of it. Okay. So this is a new bed. This was only planted last year. And this was really worked up with a lot of organic matter. You can see what you could do with 10-10-10. 10-10-10 cost you anywhere from $10 a bag to $15 a bag, depending on whether it's a 40 or 50 pound bag. It's the cheapest fertilizer going, and it's one of the best because it immediately goes into solution and goes to work. You use slow release fertilizer, and if it's not warm enough and if there's not enough water, the damn stuff sits there and doesn't release. And the plants look like they haven't been fertilized. So if you want a quick start, 10-10-10 is, I mean, a lot of people don't like inorganic fertilizer, but the life.
You have a lot of red clay in here, so you know what did you mix with?
I've got. If you look at the brown stuff in here, it's a bunch of our old potting mix I mixed in. Okay. So I try to mix it with the red clay, so there's kind of a continuum of both the new stuff and the old stuff. You know, I mean, gardening is not brain surgery; it's just kind of common sense. And
what side is this? North or
west?
West,
yeah. So I try to position stuff where it fits best, or right plant, right place, right plant, right plant, right place. So and we got west, we got the big trees. So that's actually our lot going to where the fence line is. There's a big culvert back there to carry water off the field. So it works pretty well. We get a couple 3 hours of sun, and then it disappears. And the hydrangeas don't cook up; they'll flag in the heat. They always do. But
don't you think the warmth in the wintertime helps?
It might. Yeah, radiant heat off the walls for sure. Oak leaf hydrangea, which is certainly a favorite. This is a. Somebody asked about the size of Froggy. These are little Froggy. Don't forget, spell Froggy G-I-E. And then the distillums that we continually cut back. More, I don't want to drive you crazy. I need to see all that stuff. Yeah, this is Twisted Shout, which is one that we bred at the University of Georgia. And if you look at this whole damn hydrangea area, this is the only one that hasn't been knocked to the ground. I mean, those other ones are young, but it's 5 feet tall, and it's got a ton of flower buds on it. And you have rock and roll. Some of you got a rock and roll. Rock and roll is a mop-head version of this. So you got hardiness, you got mop-headness, and you got this beautiful, I wouldn't call that gentian blue, but ocean blue flowers too. And look at the flower buds on this thing. It's just loaded, beautiful. So this was a cross between Pennymac and Lady in Red. We did it back in 2002. We targeted in 2004. We patented in 2009. And it's now sold all over the world from UGA. It's pretty amazing. Our plants have reach. Plants affect people at all corners of the globe for sure. The little Japanese maple here, this is a kind of a classic story of sharing with people. When I was on sabbatical at Hilliard Arboretum in England in '99, and on one of my flights back, I had to do some business, come back from England to the States. I went out and dug every Japanese maple under the trees at Hilliard Arboretum, and every little seedling that was coming up. I didn't tell them. I had 200 of the doggone things. I got them home, I got them potted up, and I threw all of them away. And this one ended up in Coach Dooley's garden. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's almost like serpentine the way it grows. This is grafted, but we called it, Coach called it the Dirr throwaway. This was the name he gave it. And I had to go over and almost beg him. I said, Coach, can I get some scion wood, some grafting wood? He said, yeah, sure. Help yourself. So I grafted about 10 and I gave some more away, but Katie's got one up in her garden. But it's a beauty. You can see it's just kind of cascading down, and fall colors, that yellow, orange, sort of bronzy colors. And there's seeds on there. Hoo. And I could see him looking. You know, we have an opportunity in the southeast because of our long growing season to just about produce anything. We're in a perfect climate. I mean, people moving. I don't want to be in Orlando, Florida, and I don't want to be in Bangor, Maine. I want to be in Athens, Georgia, and that's where I am. Sometimes you get lucky in life, huh? There's another quiz plant for you. Lots of quiz plants here. Anybody ever hear of Sarcococa? Sarcococa? If you can spell it, you get a free bottle of water. That's hard. It's like Sarcococca, Sarcococa, and this is Salignus, Salignus. Notice I spelled with my fingers. And it's actually called the willow leaf. It has fragrant flowers in spring. I've got several other ones around. You just poke around in here, but I love the texture on it. And for shade gardens, it's absolutely ideal. Wonderful shade plant.
Is that
You got it.
bush ivy?
Oh, I thought you were going to say hydrangea petiolaris.
Oh, okay.
It's climbing hydrangea, yeah.
Climbing.
Yeah, and then there's bananas in here too. You see my? Yeah, that's if you want something tropical, that's Musa M-U-S-A Bajou, B-A-S-J-O-O, and it's a Japanese bamboo. It's one of the hardiest bananas. Sorry, hardiest bananas, and the fruit's inedible, but the foliage it started right by the fence, and it suckers. I chop the big ones down. It keeps moving on me, but by the end of summer, this thing will be like a big tropical, like I'm in tropical paradise. And again, I'm in Athens, Georgia.
But you don't have to take it in.
Climbing hydrangea?
That is climbing hydrangea.
But is it the native? Or?
No, you're thinking decumeria there. Yeah, you walk by a decumeria back there. I love decumeria too. No, this is the Japanese version, but it has not flowered for me and it had in about 6 years. I don't see any flower buds either this year, so very disappointing. They got to go up a wall usually, and you get out of that juvenile stage. But hey, by the way, you guys need to come back in about late May if you want to. And I think we're going to have a spectacular show this year. I'm excited. I thought we were going to get blitzed, or we did get hit, a lot of tip damage on hydrangeas by frost back in March. But it looks like a good season. Up around the bend, up the hill. Tell me when you want to quit. Lisa, you asked a good question. Frank told me about it too. This is they couldn't tell. No, I say 90-degree turn, 180-degree turn, 30-degree turn, and they still started going, well, what are they talking about? Anyway, you asked about hellebores. I thought I'd go get one. This was a little seedling dug out of there last year, put it in a cell, put it in one. I don't think we dated this. Put it in a 1 gallon pot, and these are Dirr hellebores. So you're looking at some of the best
Obviously, because we know
hold me up.
elsewhere.
foot resistance.
Look at that root system. Wow. That's the magic word. Wow. Look at that. And here, you ask the question, so you get it.
Bless you, bless you.
So if anybody wants some little babies, we'll come back and dig them after we get done with this grand tour.
And I'll grow and share too.
You can't share that
Are
one.
those the
Is it?
ones that seed themselves, or are they hybrids?
No,
Those are Dirr seedlings out of whatever they are.
Seedlings,
There's
okay.
pink. No, there's not. Well, we actually got a double in the bunch. Mostly they're plum purple, white, some pinks.
And that
But-
doesn't get the
In 5
disease.
years, they could cut.
Those are all from seed. They're seedlings from both.
It doesn't get a disease.
Look me up in 5 years.
A disease.
Oh, they haven't got the disease. I was they asked the disease. No, they haven't got the disease, and I hope they don't get the disease from what I'm hearing. Okay, up the hill. We got to keep you moving. I love columbine. Got a lot of battery power with that, or?
I got about 4 hours of it.
Oh well. You know what we ought to start commercializing these little tours.
Who knows?
Maybe I've never paid attention.
I lose them. Well, let's go do this first. Come on.
Oh, okay. We were just chatting.
Love the fluffy plant.
No.
You've got one that's this big.
Fennel. Yeah, fennel. Brian.
Here's your.
Zydeco twist, is that what?
Zydeco twist. Nissa. Good job, man. This is fennel. This is a great butterfly plant. The larvae love this baby. They'll strip it down. Here's the joy. Where's Eileen? Is she still here? No, she's still. You know what's going on in here. You ask about. Here you go. Look at this. See that?
Yeah, I saw that.
This is one of the great irises. It's called. Hey, pay attention.
Heads up.
It's called Iris tectorum, Japanese roof iris. It'll grow in shade, it'll grow in sun. I got blue, I got whites. Those are probably whites. And I don't know if you need all those now, but you can share. Well, you can share some. You can break these here. Let me just have one. What you do is you take the fans. You cut them back halfway. You stick them in a pot of soil, and they root. You'll have a full plant by the end of the year. You guys can figure out how to share them among each other. Okay, let's keep going. We got to go. It's lunchtime.
Oh, so we wondered about the tree here.
The cherry?
Well, it's got all these tiny blooms on it. To the
No,
to the right. The Isn't
one
it
we
now?
were looking at.
yeah, the one we were looking at that you said.
Yeah, Nissa.
Nissa. This is Zydeco twist. Yeah, it's a contorted. Bonnie? Obviously, we love columbines. We have columbines everywhere. Columbines one of the. Once you got columbines, you have columbines, and they said prodigious quantities of fruits. This is a 6-5 5-valve capsule. They'll split at maturity, and many of you who are Catholic or close to it or know what's going on have been blessed with the scepter. Well, it's the same thing. The seeds, you just cut them off and you shake them out like you're shaking holy water, and boom, they come up everywhere. I'll take a quick walk out to the other garden. So I just let them willy-nilly come up, and there's millions. There's little babies in there. And those are all little babies that are right there. But you got to know the difference between mulberry weed and aquilegia, because mulberry weed also comes in. Anyway, this has been changed twice. Bonnie and I chainsawed everything in here this spring, pretty much, and tried to let the Japanese maples show. And it's looking better. It's filling in. But these are distilleums, which distilleums just aren't that interesting, but they're very functional. Okay, for those that are still alive and smiling, we're going to give you the quick walk through the meadow. I love the meadow concept. I plant crimson clover, and I watch it come up, and I'm out there working, and the bees are actually. And today we will go out and see the end of crimson clover, and the bees will be at a lower level, but they're there. Follow the yellow brick road. Let's go through the woods. That's nice, huh?
Now, is that a Kusa?
It's a hybrid. It's got the West Coast Natalia Cusa in Florida in it. And this is called called Venus, which is really, really nice.
Really in the shade.
Yeah, this is shady for sure. You're under a white oak and this. Oh, we're kind of waiting for a couple. I think they'd actually like to hear this one.
Yeah.
Not too many people interested in columbines, from what I can see. When you got a noble tree. This is, I was going to talk about a friend a few years back. This is cornus called Venus. VNUS is hybridized at Rutgers University. And very few people know it. It's West Coast species, Nutalii, Florida, Cruz. It's got 3 parents in it. And it's absolutely beautiful. I didn't think it was going to do anything. It settled in after about 2 years. And it's spectacular. It really is spectacular in flowers. So Venus is... It's got Kusa in it. Yeah, Kusa is one of the parents. And then there's one of the best Cornus Floridas. This is a native Cornus Florida called Appalachian Joy. And I don't know if you know much about Cornus Florida, but they got canker, they got anthracnose, they got boars, they got everything known to man. And you can see that this one is clean and robust and healthy and still doing its thing. It's already flowered, but if you're looking for a dogwood for the South, they came out of Tennessee. They were selected out of Tennessee nurseries. Appalachian, when Reagan was in office back in the 70s, 80s, yeah. The dogwood anthracnose was a big issue, and he instructed the Forest Service to start breeding for resistance. Well, it's the government, so the government can't do anything, so they couldn't do it. So the Tennessee nurserymen got together and started walking Tennessee nursery fields and picked out the ones that were resistant. And it became the Appalachian series. There's Appalachian Joy, there's Blush, there's Spring, there's Snow, Miss, Case, I'm not missing one of them, I'm missing one in here. This is Joy. We tested all of it at UGA, and Appalachian Blush and Joy are the best. And it's hard to argue with this thing, even in the fall. The leaves are shiny, they're red, and there's not a bunch of spots on them, and it's Appalachian Joy, yeah. Or Blush, either one is good. Appalachian Snow. Okay, I got to move you guys because that's a neighbor's cat. Take him home with you.
That's the Carolina.
Yeah, let's do that while we're here. I kind of... You notice we cut paths through the field of dreams here. These are more red buds. I got red buds. There's actually 4 red buds here. There's one called golden, I don't know, weeper, golden crown, golden joy, golden something or other. And I was going to say golden veil. This is a yellow one over here. And then there's Carolina Sweetheart, which has this mix of colors in it. And then there's Hearts of Gold, which is a yellow one. And then there's one called Pink Pom Pom. But the redbud breeders have gone crazy. There's a new one. I keep walking, talking fast, boom, boom, boom. There's a new one called Flamethrower, which is this one. And after a while you go, another one. How many can I trial? And but it is pretty intriguing. And by the way, every one I mentioned has pink flowers on them. I have a white flowered one too. It's hard to say white flower and red bud. It doesn't make any sense. But okay, we can go across the clover here. This is a great dogwood. It's the Japanese Cornell dogwood. It's Cornus officinalis. And it flowers in February. It has yellow flowers and has a red fruit. I don't see any fruits on it this year, but beautiful foliage. And we're going to run you through the weeds once more, and that's it. I think I was with Blake yesterday, and I think I got him out this far. And this is my second hydrangea garden with a deer fence. And I've had lots of damage. The arborescens types, this is lime rinky, there's Annabelle in there, there's a couple others that are doing fine. I got sick of not seeing blue, so I planted columbine. See the columbine? So now I got blue and purple, and not from the hydrangeas, it's from planting columbine. There's a lot of good plants in here, but I'm not going to walk you through. If you want to come back, you're certainly welcome. We're going to take you the loop will wrap it up for lunchtime, and we'll see you whenever you want to come back. But you got to realize what you're looking at. A little arboretum area up here. See that big tree there? We bought that lot because of that tree. That is a big Nyssa, a big tupelo, which is native here. And it's got 4 big trunks on it. It's the most beautiful tree. It's just majestic tree. This is the red horse chestnut. Just scream at them when they come through. Above your head is Grancy graybeard, or the white fringe tree, which is, I just love, one of the great native plants. White fringe tree. This is a dogwood that's called Cherokee Sunset. It's red flowered. It has this magnificent variegated foliage. All this is in the shade. Now you're looking kind of south, and you can see the trees. I kind of try, as I said, try to locate things where I got a chance to live. These are this is perodia. I got perodias all over. One of the great and noble oaks, which you saw, I had a little wood today. This is Quercus bicolor. This is the swamp white oak, and the underside of the leaf is absolutely beautiful. It has this, hence the name swamp white oak. It is not native. It's native to the United States, but it goes as far south as North Carolina. We're growing it all over the place down here. In fact, any of you go to Best Buy down in at Uxbridge Center, parking center, those are all swamp white oaks that they put in the parking islands down there.
This is a different variety of what you had up there with the...
Yeah, this is one called Burgundy Moon. This is one that the National Arboretum just introduced. I've got a bunch of these. I'm not sure it's that different than the everyday species, but it's pretty. And they're later, so they add some color. Dogwoods are pretty much got. Yeah, this is the last plant. And
So how'd you do that?
magic, genetics. We'll get them up here. It does, exactly.
Looks like a rat snake.
Isn't that fun?
Okay, hey, I thought they might actually be interested. I mean, this is the most unusual tree here. This is a redbud, and it's one that's got the crazy zigzag stems to it. And I got a email, I don't know, years back, where some lady said, I found this in a field in Pennsylvania, or Virginia, was one of those two states. And I thought I'd like to commercialize it. And I said, boy, wow, I don't know. But I put them in touch with somebody who can reproduce it or propagate it. And they did, and we call it zigzag. It's Cerasus canadensis zigzag. It has pink flowers. But look at the stems on this thing. It's just unbelievable. So, I mean, it's one of a kind.
Mike, what's out front? There's a big tree with the contorted.
Oh, that's, hey, buddy, I'm wrapping it up. Antibiotics got me. I got to go. So, hey, it was a great to have you. You're welcome anytime. And I do put labels on most of the plants. You'll see a little metal tags, and if you want to just walk on your own, or if I'm out here, we're out here a lot. But I just love this garden, and my wife and I, we were going to move in the old folks' home over in Presbyterian Village. Use that term loosely. Well, all of you know we lost our youngest daughter, Susie, who was a brilliant child, great person, great human being. And when we go over and visit her on Sunday mornings at the Oconee Hill Cemetery, we sit on a bench, and this was, I don't know, a month ago, buddy, a month and a half ago. Might have been longer than that. Anyway, we're sitting on a bench, and I said, we can't move. We can't leave our garden. And we both started crying, and we said, that's it. We went back, got our money back. Thank God, because it saved my soul, and gardens do that. Okay, amen. Love you.